Daily Tech News Show is made possible by its listeners thanks to all of you, including Pele Glendale, Tim Deputy, Brandon Brooks, and our lifetime supporter, Chris Larson. On this episode of DTNS, Canada orders TikTok to shut down its business operations in the country. Apple may soon make the Find My app much more useful, and Australia's PM wants to ban social media for all children under the age of 16. This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, November 7th, 2024. From Columbus, Ohio, I'm Robb Dunewood.
From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
From deep in the heart of Texas, I'm Justin Robert Young.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
What's going on, people?
I said it that way. Sorry.
I feel like you had some momentum.
You're allowed to put a little stank on it.
I'm like I'm the Muppet Show.
Yes.
Maybe not that much stank, but yeah.
Well, guys,
good stank. It's fun stank.
You ready to get into this tech show that we're doing this fine Thursday afternoon?
Absolutely.
Right, let's start with the quick hits. Microsoft is enhancing Notepad with AI-powered text editing capabilities. Rewrite, currently under preview in Windows for Insiders, empowers users to refine their writing by rephrasing sentences, adjusting tone, and modifying text length. To access this feature, insiders can simply highlight the desired text in Notepad, right-click, and select Rewrite. A dialog box will then appear, allowing users to customize their text preferences. Rewrite is currently limited to insiders in the US, France, UK, Canada, Italy, and Germany.
Google TV now lets users share movies and shows with a link. This feature is available on Android and iOS and sends a link to open a specific movie or show in the Google TV app. You can't share access to the content with the links, just the listing itself. So those who have been shared with need to have a subscription or buy access to the content that was shared with them.
In an effort to enhance safety, Roblox is updating its policy for younger users. Children under 13 will no longer be able to access unrated experiences, social hangouts, or experiences that allow free-form 2D user creation. These features can involve chat functions and interactive elements, which may expose children to inappropriate language or harmful content. The platform noted in a post to creators on Wednesday that by default, kids aged 12 years and old or younger will no longer be able to play, search, or discover unrated experiences.
Microsoft is testing a Windows on ARM update that will allow more software and games to run under Prism emulation on Copilot Plus PCs with Qualcomm's Snapdragon X Elite or X Plus processors. The capability comes as part of the Windows 11 Insider Preview build 27744, rolling out to testers in the Canary channel. With the update, Microsoft's emulator would open up support for 64-bit x86 software to use processor extensions like AVX, AVX2, BMI, FMA, and F16C.
Netflix has confirmed Stranger Things Season 5 is coming to the streaming service in 2025. We don't have an exact date for the premiere of the final season, but production for the final 8 episodes, which have been named, kick off at the beginning of this year. And it's about time because I thought they were going to catch up to current time with how long it's been taking for this to come out. So, folks, we're going to get into some of the deeper news. The Canadian government has ordered TikTok to cease operations within the country, citing unspecified national security risks posed by the company and its parent company, ByteDance. This decision follows a comprehensive security review conducted by Canadian intelligence agencies. While the Canadian government hasn't gone as far as a full ban on the app, the company is required to wind down its businesses in the country. Despite the government's order, TikTok has vowed to challenge the decision, asserting that the platform will remain accessible to creators and businesses. A TikTok spokesperson said, quote, "We will challenge this order in court. The TikTok platform will remain available for creators to find an audience, explore new interests, and for businesses to thrive." So, Justin, just want to get your take. Do you think that this has any chance of being pulled off? I mean, are they actually going to really shut this thing down?
Well, they are the federal government of that country. So if anybody can do it, they can. That being said, there is going to obviously be a legal challenge. I am not as well versed on the free speech rights of Canadians as I am on Americans. So I am not going to comment on the strength of the litigation defense that ByteDance and TikTok will have. However, it is something that re-highlights the fact that Canada and China have not had the friendliest relationship at times. It certainly is something that many Western countries have bristled up with Beijing, and TikTok is looked at in the same way that it is in this country, as this very rare chimera of a bunch of different things: Chinese influence, anxiety over social media, which we're going to get to a little bit later in terms of the Australian example. So it doesn't surprise me that this has happened, but I would be hesitant to say that TikTok is just going to be run out of the country.
I mean, with a VPN, there are a lot of things you can do, right? If you're in a particular region and that region says, well, you can't have access to this thing, it might be a little problematic for you to have access to that thing, but there are workarounds.
Well, yeah, but Sarah, in terms of TikTok specifically, they use your location to tailor the feed that goes to you. So a VPN would be something that would materially harm somebody's relationship with TikTok compared to what they have now.
Yeah, definitely so. If your For You page is very, very important to you and you've curated it over time, mine is, all dogs and cheerleaders. That's just my For You page. Okay. That's that's what we're doing in 2024. But yes, I think my point is that if somebody wants to access TikTok, they can access TikTok. Canada's saying this is just, it's not good for us. We're shutting it down. You're not really going to shut it down, but you're probably going to get a lot of folks being like, whatever, I'll just go back to Facebook.
The friction, if it were shut down, I think would be so great that it would just kind of start to die off. The people who are going to use a VPN and figure out a way to get around it are those who are actively making money off of it. If it were to go away, there are going to be other things. I'm going to say, well, hey, you can come over here to YouTube Shorts. You can come over here to Instagram Reels. You can come over here to this thing that we don't even know yet exists that is probably actively being worked on right now. So I do think that if the government shuts it down, it's going to be difficult for people to continue to use it in the way that they currently do. And I know that even though Canada, we share a continent with them, we don't really necessarily here in America take our cues from them. Folks, remember, there is a law already on the books that if ByteDance does not divest TikTok, that it could go away here in this country. Mm-hmm. Justin, I wanted to get your take on this because we do have, basically a new presidency that's going to take place. President-elect. And that person has basically said relatively recently that they are for TikTok. So do you see that impacting what we're doing here at all?
Yeah, but before, I'm sure some people are probably already yelling at their phone or their car radio that, yes, the president-elect, the former president, 45th president, in that term, he did lead the charge to ban TikTok. That eventually led to what is known as Project Texas, with Oracle managing the data. That is something that TikTok has used as a shield whenever anybody has complained about it. But there is a law that now has been signed by the president. Now, I do know that America's First Amendment protections are very, very strong. I do think that there's going to be a lot of legal challenges that will spin this out. However, what is new is that in his campaign, now successful campaign to become the 47th president, donors of the Trump campaign, specifically Jeff Yass, who's a major donor or major founder or monetary donor. I can't remember what the names of the people that give money to tech companies are for whatever reason. He is that for TikTok. And so I would not be shocked if we don't see the fastest movement from the federal government to ban it. However, if I were to take a wild guess, simply based on what happened the first time that Donald Trump was president, this seems like the kind of thing that would be, quote unquote, kind of negotiated through in some sort of larger deal with China.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole sort of how does the U.S. feel about TikTok has swung back and forth quite a bit. A couple years ago, it was like TikTok really bad. And then it was sort of like TikTok okay. And now sort of like TikTok pretty bad. Canada saying TikTok pretty bad.
Yeah, I think also the thing about TikTok is that we're kind of at the moment when you could expect maybe another social media company that would pop up. Like TikTok is not the spring chicken that it used to be.
It really isn't. And
It has been around
that's
for a
the
little
thing is
bit.
like when a company like TikTok becomes, TikTok feels like Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Even though Instagram and Facebook owned by Meta, but like it gets to the point where you're like, can you even imagine a world without this? And that's where it gets scary for the company.
We're a few years away.
Because there's going to be a company in front of you.
There will be, and we're a few years away from young people saying that TikTok is that service that old people use.
Exactly. Well, because these things kind of move in like generations in school, right? Because at some point, the kids that were really into TikTok in middle school then went to high school. And now they might be out of high school. They might be in college. And now the kids that are in middle school now, do they want to use TikTok or do they want to use something that is more tailored for them?
Right.
They're back to LiveJournal, Justin.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
It's LiveJournal all day. Just blogging. Yeah, just journaling. No, I don't think that's true, but you never know. Everything comes around. We were talking about
Everything
the 90s
does.
on GDI yesterday, and these things.
My
tend to be
wife got an
quite
ad
cyclical.
for Pogs today. That's how much the 90s are back. She got an ad for Pogs.
Oh my gosh. Well, an updated feature spotted on the iOS 18.2 developer beta indicates that Apple might soon be letting users share the location of lost or missing items using the Find My app with people who aren't in their contacts by just using a link. Mac Rumors spotted the updated feature and noted that Apple says it's intended to help locate lost items by sharing that location with somebody you might be dealing with, a cab driver on the way to the airport, say, an airline employee, somebody, in your life that just might not even have iOS or, be in your contacts. iOS 18.2 dev beta testers will find a new share item location option in the Find My app, which gives you a shareable link to the location of that missing item. People can then open the link on any device, including non-Apple devices, to try and track it. Unless they're stealing your stuff, in which case they would not help you.
So as someone who doesn't use Find My, I had to ask some questions in our pre-show on this. This sounds like an amazing feature to me. I'm just thinking of, the last time I lost a device that I had to find was my daughter left her iPhone in a dressing room at a store right before it closed. And she was pretty positive that she left it there, but we can't get back in because they're closed. So she's calling first thing in the morning, say, hey, I think I left my phone. This is the room that I was in. Can you go check? It would have given me a peace of mind if she could have sent a link and somebody can click on that link and it'll say, oh yeah, your phone's here. I'll go find it and have it for you. So that feature to me seems like that is kind of awesome.
I mean, go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, so I have an example on where this would have been really, really helpful. Back a few years ago, when the game Hearthstone was only available on tablets and not phones, so it'll give you a little window into when this happened, I was playing Hearthstone on my tablet on a flight. I went to sleep. I put it in the little slot. I woke up, got off the plane, realized that I didn't have my tablet. So thankfully, it had Find My on it. I was able to go back to the counter and not only tell them where the tablet was and where my seat was, but also where they had parked the plane in the hangar. They had to send somebody out to get it. But if I would have been able to just text the person that was there exactly where it was, then they would have been able to find it without us playing this game of a battleship from the counter to the guy that was in there looking for it, which would have been really, really helpful. So I think this is something that's really cool.
It is. And for anybody being like, but then you would have to have like the text number of somebody to help you out. Yes. So this is not like a perfect scenario. If you are in the back of a taxi cab and you don't talk to your driver the whole time, you get out, you leave your phone, like how are you even going to get a hold of that person? But for something like, an Uber, where you actually can pretty easily, figure out how to contact that driver. Somebody who, is in an airport, depending on what their job is, you have some options there as well. So I think the whole point of, hey, I've lost something, can you help me? If that person wants to help you, then this makes it all that more easy for them to do so.
Yeah, I can imagine people saying, oh, well, wouldn't that make it easier for somebody to steal something from you? It's already gone if that was going to be the case.
Oh, if they stole it, they stole it.
Yeah, if they stole it, they stole it. They're, hey, I'm trying, I'm getting nothing. Sorry for you. And, if anything, it'll make you think that they actually didn't have it when they really did. This, to me, as I said earlier, it's a really cool feature because it helps someone help you without costing them anything. You just click on this link. And then, oh yeah, here it is. Oh no, sorry, nothing's coming up. That to me is a very, very cool feature.
What I'm curious about is whether or not you'll be able to do, like with Find My, you're also able to trigger the device to make sounds. So that would be extraordinarily helpful if you've left your wallet, and you have like an AirTag on it, or you left your AirPods somewhere at a restaurant.
Oh yeah.
If you can share with the host or the hostess that link, and they can hit the beep button and it goes beep, 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 they're going to find that so much faster.
And that's actually a part of this. It's actually a part of this. Like, let's see if you guys can even hear this. If I do this with my phone right now, because I don't even know where my phone is in my house right now.
Yep.
We hear it.
Yeah, you can hear that.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's, I do this all the time because I have a really hard time finding my phone in my own home. But like that sort of thing, it's like, hey, can you help me out? All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it. It's sort of like, it feels like a Seinfeld episode of like walking through a parking garage and being like, do the beep beep with the car so that we can find it. Let's find this thing.
Yeah. There is a moment of small humiliation that happens between my wife and I when we hit the "Where's my phone" button, and it's literally right next to us, and the other one will just say, "Hey, found your phone."
Next to you when it's in your pocket.
Oh, geez, that's brutal.
When it's on your head.
Yeah, it is very rarely in my pocket. It is sometimes in my hand. That happens more than in my pocket.
I actually had a before we move on, just to make me the most embarrassing part of the show. I went through my phone to look for my phone.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, like I was just like, where is it? Oh yeah, no, it's in my hand. I'm looking in the phone. Yeah, so that happened. Mm-hmm.
You're not alone.
Well, thank you, Rob. Thank you. I'm pretty sure I'm alone on this one, but I appreciate you guys, being part of the team. If you have feedback on finding phones or anything that gets brought up on our show, do get in touch with us. We would love to hear from you on the socials. DTNS Show on X, formerly Twitter, and also Mastodon, and at mstdn.social. Daily Tech News Show on TikTok, and DTNS Pix, that's PIX, on Instagram and Threads.
So let's talk a little bit about social media and what's happening in Australia. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced a plan to ban social media in Australia for those under 16. The proposed law would see children under 16 banned from platforms like TikTok and Facebook with no exceptions. Social media platforms that violate the ban will face penalties. The proposal comes after an open letter from 150 Australian organizations urged the government to act on the dangerous social media posed to the nation's young people.
Yeah, so the measure is opposed by the Digital Industry Group, which represents social media platforms like Meta and X, who say the measure might block access to support services for young people. A spokesperson told Reuters, quote, "Rather than blocking access through bans, we need to take a balanced approach to create age-appropriate spaces, build digital literacy, and protect young people from online harm," end quote. The country is also working on an age verification system that could use biometrics or a government ID for verification. The proposed law would also be presented to Parliament for a vote later this month, and if it passes, it could go into effect in late 2025. So this isn't happening tomorrow, but it could happen.
This is one of the ones where I don't see, even if they were to pass this would be one of the most restrictive social media bans in the world.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you're going to take let's say a child that is 15 that has been using social media platforms since they were 9 or 10, and they are savvy with it, how you're going to, even if you start using, biometric verification, how are you going to keep this person that really knows how to use their phone from getting to social media if that's what they truly want to do? So this is just a proposed law. It isn't something that has been passed, but, just blocked completely for under 16. That's pretty stringent.
I also just feel like, listen, I used to be a child under 16 and I know how to get around things. I didn't have things like TikTok or social media or the internet, actually, when I was 16 years old. Well, a little internet, but, not like what we have today. Kids will get around this if they want to. That said, to make a stance, which obviously, the Australian Prime Minister is trying to do. I wonder what that, how does that change things? Justin, what do you think?
Justin had an audio issue.
Oh, okay. Well, while he's still figuring that out, I can go further, I promise. This whole idea of, and, we were talking about VPNs earlier in the show. It's like, Rob, you've got kids. They're a little older than, what we're talking about right now. But if you ban something for, blanket ban for something like TikTok, which is obviously very globally extremely popular right now, and then somebody is, not supposed to be on it, and it's like, no, we're gonna go a step further. You can't just lie about your age. We're going to do like biometric stuff and make you prove who you are. That probably will work in some scenarios, but I just don't think I don't think kids can be thwarted from this stuff.
Because part of the thing that's going to happen is kids are going to be like, hey, Ma, can you unlock this for me? Sure. And the parent doesn't think anything more about it. Now, I know that that's bad looking for the parent, but that happens. And, I'm reminded of a episode of Everybody Loves Raymond where they're talking about their mother looking at their diaries. And then Raymond's older brother, Robbie, was like, you mean you don't have a second set of books? He's like, no, where would I keep it? He kept his down at the bank. He literally had a safe deposit box where he kept his real diary down at the bank so his mother couldn't get to it. Most parents are not
she was
checking
like, she was thrown
like
off
that.
the case?
She's thrown off the case.
I just like oranges and not TikTok.
Most parents are not going to check to where a child would have to go through that level of
but kids will
just
do it.
being deceitful to get away with it. Yeah. It'll be, hey, Ma, like I used to be able to use this. I'd still like to use it. Can you unlock it for me? Sure, baby. Here you go. So
let me make a business argument in favor of the social media companies, because when you are theoretically open to kids as young as 14 or whatever that are on your platform, along with it comes increased scrutiny. If you are only letting people on at 16 or 18 or something like that, you have a different level of what you have to protect for and what you can serve to people that are on your platform. What I would suspect is that a law like this is not thinking about the first 3 years. A law like this is thinking about what happens when that generation ages out and whether or not you are creating space for specifically kid-focused platforms that are built entirely around the idea of safety as opposed to just selectively on safety because they are also appealing to young adults and regular adults. So I do think that the cultural norms on stuff like this are shifting, that social media is not looked at as harmless in the way that it was during its infancy. And I wonder specifically if it is going to change by way of legislation. It will change first with children, and then we'll see what appetite there is for any kind of restriction going forward.
You make a very, very good point, because I'm now thinking, so like Minecraft, but for kids. Well, wait, Minecraft is for kids. This would be a social media platform for kids. It would be Roblox. Oh, that is for kids, but it would be a social media platform for kids. That you could be right, but this is not for today's children. It is for tomorrow's children.
For the next children. There are social media platforms like that have, I forget, I know Animal Jam is one of them, but like, it's very heavily modded, very heavily auto modded, and very heavily human modded for any of the conversations that happen between kids. And there are even some for younger kids. I know that my nephews and nieces out in actually Ohio, they are homeschooled and they have little social elements to their homeschooling agenda where they can post their work and they can contact, back and forth with other people. But everything goes through a moderation filter because they know they are dealing with kids.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the kid, right? There are certain kids who are going to be like, that's fine. I feel safe. This is great. I can talk to my friends, like even if I'm homeschooled, like, I've got some, social capabilities, all good.
Yeah.
There are other kids who are going to be like, no, I want to be on adult TikTok and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to figure it out.
I think
so. You kind of have to. You kind of have to just. You kind of have to know your kid. Like a blanket law like this is going to make some impact if it goes through, and not in other cases.
I'm really just interested to see this law's been proposed. Will it actually get passed? And if it does, we'll have to look at, could something like that happen here? So I am like I said, I'm not necessarily know that I'm for it, but I am interested to see how this plays out.
I'm just personally hoping all this stuff gets sorted out within the next 8 years, so I don't have to worry about it when my daughter is old enough to be watching things she shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Lawmakers and kids alike.
Just knock this out. You got 8 years to figure it out. Probably
Justin
even shorter
is
than that.
asking
Rob
very
probably
nicely.
knows. It's probably even shorter than that for her to be watching things that she probably shouldn't.
Sadly, yeah, it's probably a little younger.
Oh man, 8 years. That sounds so soon.
All right, let's check out the mailbag. So Moose 2271 wrote in about our discussion regarding EV safety on Monday's show with Tim Stevens. He writes, we have had some EV fires where I live. A friend of mine is assistant fire chief nearby. He said, yes, there are still some problems putting them out and the heavy metal contamination from the runoff of all the water that is used. However, the biggest problem is the fires are always in the passenger compartments because that's where the batteries are underneath the car. One case he mentioned was a Mercedes. A man had driven to a friend's house with his infant son. Half an hour later, his friend told him that there was a smoke in his car. When he ran out to look, the fire came up through the son's car seat. He took a video with his phone and it was played on the local news. It does not matter how safe anyone says EVs are. A fire coming up through the seat, especially a child's car seat, is going to be a major influence on purchasing one. That's
a good point.
Yeah, Tim, he did tell us these things are safe. Fires with EVs actually happen significantly less than they do with automobiles, but there is the perception, and they do burn hot, and they are hard to put out. And as Moose is saying here, they are in the passenger compartment often. So thanks to Moose 2271 for the message that he sent in. If anyone else would like to send feedback, you can do so by sending feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. We also got to thank Justin Robert Young. What have you got going on? It's probably been a real slow week for you. I can't imagine you were that busy this week.
Boy.
Yeah, I mean, just twiddling your thumbs, Justin.
Yeah, certainly. Just a bunch of early nights, in bed by 10, up by 5, just having a really great time. Now, obviously, we are digging through all the results from Election Day, not only obviously what happened in the White House, but also in the Senate and the House. That will be covered on Friday's edition. We also have our immediate reaction to what happened on Election Day with myself, Andrew Heaton, and Jen Briney. So go ahead and check that out everywhere that you find podcasts, politics. But the easiest and best way to get it is politics.com.
Can't get enough Android in your life? Then listen to Android Faithful. Every week, Android aficionados Ron Richards, Huyen Tue Dao, Michelle Rahman, and Jason Howell bring you the latest Android news and information. You can watch live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific at youtube.com Daily Tech News Show, and subscribe to the feed at androidfaithful.com. Patrons, stick around for the extended show, Good Day Internet. We're going to talk about the continuing feud between Matt Mullenweg and WP Engine and Automatic's new website that defines pettiness.
But just a reminder, you can catch our show live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We're back again doing it all tomorrow, talking about Google's push to get AI into developer pools, tools with Huyen Tue Dao joining us. It'll be fun. Talk to you then.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.